All right, my X is not going live yet, so just gonna remove my
Yeah,
X.
it's a little bit behind.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Bruce, and today you're with a girl, a guy, and a movie as Janet and I review the 1995 film Screamers. Janet,
Kick some ass.
how are you doing today?
Good. It
Awesome.
was a fun movie. I enjoyed it because we
Yeah,
just got finished watching it.
we literally just put it up the film about 20
Mhm.
minutes ago. Had a post discussion with our friend Josh, who is Six Nation 31 Kings,
Mhm.
and we all agree this movie holds up. It's almost actually, if you're looking at it for how long it's been since it was filmed, it's a 30-year-old film, but it was
Mhm.
released in, it looks like, 1995, and it went for wide release in 96. One of those weird movies that gets released in November and really sees all the theaters, possibly in January. And this was a film that I kick myself about because I did not see it in theaters. I saw it on cable,
Yeah, I had
and
never seen it. I
oh,
had never even heard of it because when you first told me about it, I thought you were talking about scanners, not screamers.
we'll be
But I'd
watching that.
never, yeah, I'd never seen this one.
I've not seen Scanners in so many years. Is this a sci-fi film? Absolutely, it's a sci-fi film.
It's like a
Pretty much,
sci-fi horror.
yeah.
That's where I would classify it because it had a lot of gruesome, scary, parts in it. So I would say sci-fi horror. It was like I guess it would say Aliens was that too, right? And
Yep,
the Thing. So I
yep.
would put it in the same exact realm as that.
Yeah, I would definitely put this in sci-fi horror territory. This is a fantastic sci-fi horror film. If you've not seen it, I'm going to post a link to it in the chat and also do that in the description. Oh, she says she saw it already. But if you've not seen this movie yet,
Hmm.
we do have a link for it in 2btv.com's little link there. You can watch
Yeah.
it at no cost. So there you go. And if you use Brave, you don't even have to worry about ads. There's just like little momentary skips where there should be an ad here, but Brave's like, nope, denied. And you should all be using Brave or Opera anyway, because why would you use Internet Explorer? Yeah.
Janet, we're going to be.
Is that on your end, Janet, or mine?
I don't have anything open, so I don't know where that came from. Is your what is it called? Discord?
Exit from Discord.
Okay, hold on. Let me find out where that is real quick. I don't see it on here as opened.
Okay.
So I don't know where that came from.
That was interesting.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see Discord open.
Uh, in my Discord, it says you're still logged in the general section.
Well, how do I get back to it?
Just open up your Discord and then go into the general and exit the voice. That's all. Anyway, hi, Soy-Based Jeremy. How are you today? She left us. Okay. She's in voice chat. Yeah. I don't know how she's picking up stuff from there. She's the only one in voice chat. Okay. So, with that being stated, this movie came out in 1995. For those of you that are not familiar with this film, this is a real gem of a film, and it is a rewritten Philip K. Dick novella. And what it was supposed to be about was the Cold War. Unfortunately, as time went on, a few revisions to the script were made, and a man by the name of Dan O'Bannon wrote the original screenplay for it. And then Miguel Tejada Flores, he revised it in the mid '80s and it sat in a shelf or in a drawer for a decade. And then finally in 95 was greenlit for filming. They spent $14 million on this film, which, if you remember back in 95, that was actually pretty much like real money.
Okay, am I in your Discord still?
Yeah, you still are.
I don't know how to close it. I don't know how to get out.
Okay.
So what am I going to do?
I'm just going to
My Discord is
but-
closed on my computer, so it's
Yeah,
online somehow.
It's still I'm just going to deafen my server for a minute. Okay. So anyway, I can't hear my server. So still have my Raycons on. It might have been him bleeding through. It's okay.
Hold on. I'm still trying to figure out how to turn it off. I've never had that happen before.
It's okay. It won't.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it is. I'm not worried about it. I've got my server muted on my end over here.
Was it from your side or not?
I think it was from your side. Jeremy walked into Discord for a second and scared you, and then he walked back out. He does that little troll.
Let's see. I don't know how to turn off. I have mine on streamer mode, so I don't know. I don't understand.
He must have walked in and done voice chat or something. Anyway, this movie had a director by the name of Christian Dugré, and he's done a few movies. He's done more movies and direction work than anything else. A little bit of electrical department stuff, but he's primarily known as a director in Canada, Vancouver area.
Yeah.
Because of the setting, because of how they wanted to film it, they used him. He had a really good eye for this movie, and I really just got to give a lot of credit to this man, because he did so many good things to bring it to life and to modernize it for the 1990s, which it's really, I don't mean to be sarcastic when I say modernized for 1990s, but between him and Rodney Gibbons, who did the cinematography, those two gave this movie a vision of just absolute desolation. It's filmed in wrecked areas or in quarries, around large machinery, pumps. I recognize a lot of these pumps from my work, and I'm like, I know how that works. I know how that works. I know how that works. And it's just kind of funny to watch this film, because they take so many common things in the industrial society, and then they brought it to life with this movie and gave it a futuristic edge to show this is a different planet. This is Sirius 6B. And you've got the NEB, the New Economic Bloc, and their opposition, which it kind of sucks. But the NEBs versus these other folks that represent supposed to be the common individuals, and Hendrickson is the main character, or played by Peter Weller, and he's supposed to try to figure out how to keep his troops safe in their own little bunker. The New Economic Bloc has got decimated forces. There's these little creatures or androids underground. They're running around slaughtering people that don't have these electromagnetic devices on that give them a signature of the IFF, the Identify Friend or Foe frequency that they need.
So basically, though, they attack anything that's human.
Yeah, you've got the
because throughout the movie, when you see the thing moving, it was always people walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I thought that was interesting. How later, when you see Peter Weller's character walking with the other guy, and then they find the kid, the things never try to get him. See, that's why I kept saying I was suspicious, thinking that maybe he was one of them, because he had no fear of them. You know, he acted like they wouldn't attack him at all, even though they would. Later on, we find out they would. But for some reason, it wasn't attacking him. And he thought it was because his bracelet. It wasn't until the other guy mentioned, well, it tried to go for you, when he was yelling at him about already taking care of one kid. Now I'm having to take care of another one, you know. talking about him, being mean to him about it. And that right there is when I went, he's a robot. See, that's why I thought that immediately. That's why it's not coming for him, because the bracelets don't help. You know what I
No.
mean? At least not anymore, because they've upped their technology. But we didn't know that. But see, I thought that was interesting too. The whole concept of how in the past he knew that these creatures or these robots were created to defend them from the enemy, and but he didn't know where they came from or who was even making them, or the robots are making themselves, and why were they making them, and nobody's keeping track of what kind of robots they have. So how do they, this is what I thought was so quirky about it later on, was if they started off making these to protect them, right? And then they let them make themselves. So how do they know that the enemy isn't have their own screamers to attack them? See, but he's walking around nonchalant, like he doesn't think they have technology. You know what I mean? I don't know. There was a few little quirks like that bothered me, because I was like, you walk around like you're not worried about any of them getting you because you got a bracelet on, but how do you know that the other guy, the bad guys that you're at war with, that desolated the planet basically, hasn't already come up with robots? I don't know. I just thought that whole concept of it was kind of, I don't know, didn't make any sense to me.
The new economic bloc was supposed to be like the lower class, the people that didn't have all the resources, not represented very well. They were a underfunded private or maybe even a government group, but they were supposed to be the people that were defending the common people that were trying to mine this iridium on the planet.
Yeah.
And here's Peter Weller and his GDI people. They're kind of being authoritative and like, oh, well, you don't want to get the iridium for us? Fine, we're just going to build these little robot monsters and send them all after you. And then the poor son of a bitch that is sent down to engage the protocols to start the machines, he sees what's going on just in the beginning of it, and like, we pressed the button and ran like hell, and that was it. It's a class warfare sort of movie, but you have a very interesting setup here, and it isn't until the third act that you find out just how far things have deteriorated to where there is no real NEBs left on the planet. They've all been killed. They've all, been killed, and their faces have been repurposed, just like Chuck's face got repurposed later on.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this movie was just so fucking good. The entire film's about, the theme is about deception, and getting that deception revealed to you, and just how every fucking time you think you know something, nope, it's not like that. It's so good.
Well, another thing that I had a problem with was throughout the movie, you get to meet, what was it, like 10 different characters, okay, with different faces and things like that, men and one woman. As far as I know, I don't remember seeing another woman. Did you?
Well, you have two ladies in there. Lenny Parker, she hands Peter Weller pretty much dispatch, and then they connect him to the Secretary General that tells him, take this truce paperwork and let's go talk to the NEBs and try to work things out.
Yeah, but
together.
I mean, after they left their original place that they were underground in, right? That's surrounded by the scanners. There's no where they went to where the enemy was, right? And that's where he met the other woman. But there was no other women there besides her.
Now, Jennifer Rubin has the majority of female screen time in this movie. Two other ladies, Lenny Parker and Liliana Komorowska, they are in the movie for about a total of 4 minutes. And Liliana has a opening movie credit.
Yeah, because she's like the
3 minutes.
She's like a co-star because she's only in it for like half the movie, basically. It's the two main characters, the two main men, Peter Weller and the other gentleman that gets squeezed to death. Those are two the most parts in the movie. And then the other 3 or 4 guys, they're like co-hosts too, or I mean, co-stars. But the thing is that at the part where they go back to their own compound or whatever, and the doors open. Another thing that kind of took me back, like, what? It didn't make any sense, was the fact that with the army was all kids. The same kid over and over and over again. You think if they were going to use an army to fight, they would want men, grown men, or the grown women. Instead of tiny robots, they would want larger robots.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
David was a type 3.
Mhm.
David was a type 3, and I don't think they had a whole lot of boys to sample on the planet.
Mhm.
So he was the only one they had to sample, but they had ability to get other characters to rip their faces off and clone them, because you saw what they did with Chuck, and then of course, who was that piece of shit? Sorry. Roy Dupas plays Becker, and he's
Mhm.
the primary antagonist throughout the film, but he's not even, hinted at like how many of them there were. But you can tell something's kind of wrong. And there's a part in the second act, right before the third act, right as Ross is killed, when Becker throws the knife through him. Right before
Mhm.
that, I'm hearing servos in the speaker. And if you ever watch it again, if you listen for it, you can hear like mechanical whirring around when you have Becker and Jessica Hansen talking. You hear the servos. And I just recognize that. I've seen this movie like 30 times now. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But
Well,
I've
what
watched headphones
the
on.
other thing too that I thought was great, and the best line in the movie was, yeah, we can drink alcohol, we can fuck. That whole thing that she was talking about. The thing is that why? It didn't make any sense. They had they went through all the robots went through all that work to make her look so lifelike. Why? What was their purpose to make her be able to drink booze and to have sex, all that kind of shit. But why? We never did really find out why, especially since he only had one woman with all these different men that they could make robots out of too. So I don't know. There was just a couple open gaps there that they didn't fill in. That that I just didn't. Was trying to put it together, but I couldn't really get. I don't know. I couldn't get more out of it. That's why I thought it was really cool that when he told her that there was a ship that they could escape the planet with, did he already know at that time there was only room for one person in the ship?
I don't think he did, because he seems
See?
surprised whenever he opens the hatch.
So why would they make this planet, okay, to mine all this stuff, but only make an emergency thing for one person to leave too? There was little things like that I had a hard time trying to understand why they went through all that to be able to only have one person be able to leave. Did they know that the robots may one day become capable of replicating everything and to a T, basically, almost to where no one would know, and that's why they only wanted one to be able to come back to Earth? And if it's been hundreds of years, what's to protect Earth for when they did come back, or one was to come back, to not replicate the whole planet? You see, little things like that. There was no fail safes or anything like that. And if Peter Weller's character was like the top general or whatever person in charge on that whole base, you'd think he would know about what could happen if they take certain things to the other planet, back to Earth. I don't know. There was just a lot of gaps, and I just have a really hard time trying to figure out the purpose for some of the things that they put in there and why they didn't fill in the gaps. I don't know if that makes any sense for you, because you'd seen it before. So, you're way ahead of me when it comes to that. Now, I liked it. The scenery was freaking awesome. I thought the script was really good. And the people they got to play the different characters, I thought they did very believable parts, for all of it. And the special effects I thought were great. I mean, I think the movie could do well now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was that well made. It's just that there's just a few things that I'm trying to understand. That's why I'm asking you about it, because you've seen it. So, can you fill in any of the gaps that I
think
might have missed?
by the time the movie starts, I think the NEB bunker has already been sacked. I think the
Mhm.
robots have already gotten in it and they've already collapsed it. And Jessica and Becker, and they've got Ross, which Ross may be or may not be on a. He might be an android or he might not be, but because later on we find out she can bleed, but when they rip the blade out of his chest, there's a lot of blood on it,
Mhm.
and by the time the movie starts, they've already sacked it, and the plan is in motion. The robots are there to fucking take everything and see what resources they can gather and see what they can do to spread because they want to
Mhm.
propagate. They've got AI mentality. They want to make more of themselves. And
Yeah, and
so,
that's kind of interesting right there. Now that I'm thinking about it, is the fact that when he cut her on the hand to see if she was a robot and she bled, okay, like when you said in there that she could fuck, she can drink, and she could bleed or whatever.
Mhm.
But when she didn't let him cut himself, because she already knew he was a human, right? Apparently.
and
Okay.
he's so
Or,
painfully human you can't tell. You know he's human.
or, or, um, she didn't want him to realize that he wasn't a robot, that he was a human, even though he was a robot, because she knew, because she's in more advanced than him, because she wanted him to be able to go to the planet, back to planet Earth.
I don't think that's it. I think she knows so painfully he's a human. He's just like
Because
whenever
why? See,
you
that
know
doesn't answer the question though. Why did she try to defend him from the other woman robot? If she's a robot, see,
because
that
she's
was a big
got
gap there.
she is so good at learning and adjusting and compiling information that as
Hmm.
an AI, she can develop emotions towards a person. And that's the stage they're at. They're at the stage where they can develop feelings. And she has attached herself to this human who's a little older than her in physicality, but she likes him. She wants to protect him because he's identified himself as a provider and a protector, and she appreciates that. She's not had that experience yet. She says 2 days ago, I didn't even know who you were, Becker. And
Hmm.
so 2 days before the movie or before the movie has started, she's kind of rolled off the assembly line and she's given a basic rudimentary bit of information, and then she's meant to gather everything else. So she's
That you
been
know of.
thing that
You're
we know of.
assuming.
I'm
You're
assuming all
assuming
that.
that she was brand new.
She might have been Android years old, but I doubt it. I think she's
Because
brand.
when she came down the staircase, when the other gentlemen were down there, when she first met um, Peter Weller's character, she seemed like she was, she looked around the room like she was saying, I'm in charge. So
Yep,
shut up, basically, is what she was giving them. Because that's when she said,
this is my place.
I have bourbon, whatever. Yes, this is good bourbon or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was wearing a tank top, showing a little bit of skin to kind of get him focused on her instead of the guys. You see what I mean? It was like she was taking charge because she was trying to quell the situation and make it more human. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? To make him not think about them as something that they might not be human. I don't know. To me, but that's me thinking back into the movie now that I know the ending of it. But at the time that she did it, when she came down the stairs and interjected herself into the conversation, I thought she was like the lead scientist or a head and a higher person up on the totem pole compared to the other guys. So that's why they kind of backed down and let her talk, or they were just all horny and they were afraid to piss her off or something. I don't know.
I think it might be something along those lines, but it's really weird that her commissary, her black marketplace, is right on top of the NEB bunker. Like, how could you have such a nice location to where you could sell your wares to a greedy bunch of soldiers that would stare at your tits through layers of clothing.
Yeah.
And imagine, and how good of a location is this? This is awesome. You've got this nice little shop here, and she's providing that as a shelter to Becker and Ross. It seems suspect. The movie doesn't really leave you a whole lot of things as it's going on, but after you've watched it, you think about it and you're like, I think she was part of the assault. I think she was part of the destruction of the base, or she
Well,
was
see,
at the very least, I mean, she realized when she got to that spot, she could have everything she wanted that the planet could provide at the time, because people would be going back to that location to try to pilfer and raid. And so she could set herself up on top of the base with her commissary, and she could at least profit, or at least come out ahead from all the resources that were available there. And it seemed like that's what she was doing. Hey, Wolf 10 Media, have yourself a great day, sir.
yeah,
I hope
thank you for stopping by.
uh,
One of the things I wanted to add too is the see, if I had another day to think about this, man, I'd have some really good shit. I really think I would, because right now, popped in my head is maybe all of them were robots, every single one of them, and the fact that they're learning. And they learn, just from interacting, whatever, or being exposed to different things that they probably wouldn't have been exposed to. And since two groups are evolving in their own compounds, okay, with other beings, okay, and now, like she said, they can eat and drink, okay, they can bleed, and they can learn. They're constantly learning, and they're rebuilding. Making more and more different, evolving, basically making more like V'ger. Remember from Star Trek? The satellite came to a robot planet, and they redid the satellite, and they made it bigger into a ship so it could finish its journey to collect data and take it back to the maker. That type of thing. So basically, what you have is a planet of robots, because it had killed out all the people. Or it did kill the people. Maybe the people died of starvation because there was no way to replenish the food and stuff. So as they were dying, the robots thought, well, we got to take them and make them, because if we ever want to get away from this planet, we have to be able to use the one way of getting out. And we got to train our robots to convince each other that they're real and that they need to go to Earth. See what I mean? Set this whole plan out. So that could be a possibility for me. The more I think about it, the more I think that none of them were real. And the fact that you had the two, that's why the one left with the message to get to the other one, to try to get them to send another group to there to get new
resources and bases.
Yeah, new resources for the robots that were all robots. Everybody in that one thing for sure was all robots. There was no humans. And the fact that they didn't eat, you know what I mean? You saw them kind of eating a little bit at the very beginning in the one place, but you never saw them on the other side eating. And they never ate when they left. The only food that you saw in the whole thing, basically after they left the compound, was the packet, the little flat packet they gave the little boy.
Yep.
So that would be a human-like quality to, like the one guy that I think was could be a human that was squished. Okay, he seemed very human. You know what I mean? But remember when they were talking about the number 2. Comes before 3. The little smart aleck robot guy
Yep.
said that. The thing is that the more I'm thinking about it, I'd have to go back and watch this again now, because it's got so many other things going on in my head, so many different possibilities, that are popping in my head about where the movie could have went and what did it mean and overall, you know what I mean? That it could be they could have all been robots, just like in the movie Blade Runner, when she didn't think she didn't know she was a robot. You see, she was born, she had fake memories and stuff, but she had no idea she wasn't human until Deckard made her realize she was a robot. So basically, the one woman was wanting him to be human because she was trying to, or she knew he wasn't human and she didn't want him to cut his hand because he was going to find out he was a robot. Because she didn't really let him look at her hand. All he saw was blood. He didn't see what was under the blood. See, because she went, oh, and grabbed it because she said it hurt. But we don't know if he'd cut his own hand and he bled, but he didn't have pain, right? He would realize, hey, why am I not hurting? See, she was worried that he would realize he was a robot, see, or something. So she knew he had to be the only one. He was the only one with the DNA and the information on how to get the ship and start it, because he was the one person in charge. And that's why they needed to bring them from the one compound to the other, because that's where the ship was. But they didn't have anyone high enough ranking that they had created to be able to get the codes and everything. You see what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's what I was thinking. Now that we're done watching it, I'm putting all this stuff together. I'm thinking that's probably what they were trying to do, and that was their job, to be able to go to another planet and keep making more of them. See, because that's what they were made for. Just like you said, they were made to replicate themselves when each of them was dying off or whatever, to replace themselves to keep the compound safe from invaders that didn't belong. People that didn't have the bracelets, but the bracelets didn't work anymore because it wasn't humans. They were all robots. At least that's my point of view of it.
Yeah, they've evolved to the point where they could program not to have to worry about any of the frequencies coming off bracelets. The first ones they met at the surface, they're kind of older. They've been around for a few years. And the IS programming still holds true, but then as they get deeper into film, they're meeting more and more recent productions off the assembly line, and all of these robots are absolutely not going to let them traverse across the landscape. They're going after everything. Everything on two legs, your target. What did you when you saw this today? The scene where Peter Weller goes apeshit crazy on the little rock bug. If you're gonna be a rock, but you're a bug. I think that's that level of frustration he has. That's like his entire time he's spent on this planet has been one lie after another, and everything that's there. The theme of deception continues to pop up and pop up and pop up again and again, and that's one of the more lighthearted ones. But this movie does so well illustrating all the various portions of how deep that rabbit hole really opens up into.
That's why I'm saying all the little things leading up to it with him, okay, with his main character, because he was the one person that was capable of leaving the planet. Okay, he's the only one. There was no other robot that looked like him. Okay, now that doesn't mean that he was a robot, really, if you think about it. But in the point of view from what I'm seeing or what I'm thinking is the whole thing was set up to make him believe that he had to go to another planet, to go back to Earth to save himself, because there was nothing left. Everybody was robots, and he was the last human. And that's what they wanted him to think, because just like the movie The Thing, he wanted to freeze. It's just like Kurt Russell said, he wants to go back to sleep and wait until someone else comes, and then maybe get to go and take over the rest of the planet, you see. But going to sleep, it knew it could come back awake, and it only takes one of the little organism cells to create a whole new millions of them,
Train.
Over. So basically, he could go there with the technology that was inside of him, okay, and go to Earth and replicate everyone over, a certain amount of time. So that was their goal, is to just get someone with the technology already in their makeup of their robot body or human body with skin and everything, is to go there and be able to use the the knowledge it had, because once it got there and it learned on this trip or whatever, realizing in its subconscious that it was a robot, and that its one thing is to preserve itself and to recreate more of him. See? So I just thought it was really good. I mean, that whole thing. That's why I said it was like a sci-fi horror, because it was futuristic in our time, basically, like right now, or before right now, is when it supposedly was taking place, right?
I'm not certain. I'd have to look at the
Let me see what
trivia
I lost.
page.
Let me see what my notes say.
Trivia page gives a date on there. So
Yes, it's in 2058. Okay, I just found it. The mining corporation, and that's what it was made for. So, if you think about it, a mining corporation would need workers to run the equipment and stuff. So, what's the best worker? A worker that doesn't have to eat or have water or have sunshine. So basically, they created the bug ones to live out and in the sand and stuff, and wait until people came to try to destroy the replicating mining business or whatever, because whoever owned that was needing that. And then they didn't really talk about how they were taking what they were mining and getting it off the planet. What were they doing with the stuff they were mining? Who was getting it?
Earth.
Yeah, but how? How are they getting it? That's what I'm saying. They didn't show anything about how once they mined this stuff, they took it to Earth. Because if that was the only ship to get off to go back to Earth, how did they get the other stuff they were mining? See, there was little things like that I was thinking about through it, trying to figure it out, waiting to hear it explain that to me. But I think that was basically the story that these robots were teaching each other to get to be more human, to make them think they were humans. Because once they were humans and they were smart enough to figure out, hey, I got to save myself, I'm the last human left, I got to get off this planet and get back to Earth. So basically that was their training thing, however long it took, to get them to perfect a human looking robot that could bleed and that could eat and look like a human and act like a human, and be able to get the technology of replicating humans and take it back to Earth so they could replicate it. See, to me, the more everything leaned towards that, the whole thing, the whole journey for their race or their races was to get to Earth and replicate. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So at least that's what I was getting from it once I watched it. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that even makes more sense. I don't know if I'm right or not. Because was this from a book or?
Yeah, it's from a book called Second Variety.
Did you read it?
I have not. I've read a little bit about the differences between this book and something else. Yeah, we're not talking about Screamers from 1995.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought we were going to talk about Scanners, but Screamers I'd never heard of. So this is my first time seeing it, Papa Cotton.
Second Variety is about the Cold War and how we've got the U.S. forces on the moon, and they have to go down to the USSR on the surface of the planet and try to negotiate a peace treaty. But because the AI has taken over most of the planet, there's really not any Ruskies left. And the poor sap that Hendrickson plays in the movie kind of has the same events happen to him in the book. So if you've read the book or if you've seen the movie, you know how the book ends. It's not happy. But there is a sequel to this. This is the sequel. The sequel is called Screamers 2, The Hunting. And it's supposed to continue the story, but Colonel Hendrickson's daughter is the main character of it, because he does not appear in the film. They tell you through the exposition what happened to him.
What happened to him? He was the one in the ship going back to Earth.
Yep. You remember that little teddy bear?
Yeah. So the teddy bear was the robot?
Teddy bear was the type 2, possibly.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It left a lot of gaps. But see, the thing is, that's a good movie. You know what I'm saying? A good movie makes you think about it afterward, about what if, what if this happened, or was this supposed to happen? You're intrigued by it. Okay.
Mhm.
That's a good movie. It left so many variables to make you think about it afterward, about what could have happened or what did happen, and you saw it, but why did that happen? It made you think. You know what I mean? I'm trying to that there could be so many possibilities once he got off the planet and went to Earth. What could possibly be the reason why he was going? See, that's what I thought was very intriguing. The whole thing about
And
the
and
purpose behind it.
and when we
You
do
know.
these shows, Janet,
Mhm.
just because I press play, that doesn't hamstring us into only talking about the movie we just watched. If you want to talk about a movie that we watched 2 or 3 weeks ago, like, yeah, I could spend another hour beating up on G.I. Jane if you want me to.
No, I mean, I've already been talking about how this movie reminded me of so many other movies.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know, maybe it was because they came out at the same time. They thought that because it was a sci-fi horror, that they had to use different things from different movies to put it all together, because but it resembled those movies, but to me it wasn't those movies, because remember, there was a lot of twists and turns in it for me when I was
Mhm.
watching it, because I didn't know who was a robot. At first, I didn't think the kid was. The first thing I did when I heard the kid's voice speaking, I thought, oh, remember I said, never trust a robot, because I knew there was somehow there was a trap, that they were using a voice of a child to get them to go into the cave where they could kill them, or something. I knew it was something like that, a setup. But when you saw the kid and stuff, the more I thought, well, maybe it is a real kid, because he's wearing clothes like he's been out there for a while, and he had answers to everything they asked. So I thought that was made it more believable that it was a kid. Okay. Then when he gave him the food package thing, he didn't explain to the kid how to use the food or something.
Mhm.
So I was still leery of him. I just, like I said earlier, I kept thinking he was the robot for whatever reason. Why he didn't cut his hand open, and why she didn't let him cut his hand. Just little things like that. I just thought it just made me suspect everybody, basically. So I thought that was really good, because that keeps you hanging on the edge of your seat, because you're waiting for something's about to happen, but who's gonna do it? That type of thing, which I like. I like it to be that way, and I love to not be able to figure it out before the end of the movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it, because I didn't have a clue what was going to happen. And when the other girl stepped forward, that shocked me. I was like, what? She's a robot, but why is she fighting the other robot to protect him? See, unless in the back of my mind, he's a robot, see, and she's trying to make sure he's the one that gets on the ship and goes back to Earth, because he's the one that's supposed to go. And maybe the other robot was made just in case she failed to get him to do it. She would be the one to step in and get, as the love interest or whatever, that to make him still believe he's a human. You know what I mean? I don't know. So to me, there was a lot of ways to keep pushing the story to make you believe he was a human, because he needed to believe he was. I don't know if
See,
that makes any sense or not.
I think this movie has a lot of potential, and it could have gone further than just one sequel. It could have been made into a TV series,
Yes,
maybe,
I definitely believe that.
and it could have gone like the old way where you have 26 episodes per season, or it could have
Hmm.
gone the new way where you only have 8. Either one of them, with the level of writing and intelligence that Dan O'Bannon had when he was writing this, I
Yeah.
think either one of them would have been fine. I would have watched either, gobbled that shit up eagerly, because I wanted to know more about Sirius 6B, and what were the fighters, what was the resistance going to do about, the new breed of technology that was being unleashed from down below. I could easily just sit and watch this, and uh, as much as people complain about the second one, the released direct-to-video one, I enjoyed it. And if you want to watch that, we can set that up for the future. Right now, I know you've got things set up to where you're going to be doing a trip here shortly, but
Yeah,
after
at the end of August,
end
I'm
of
going to be
August,
house sitting.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, like
But the other thing I thought was interesting too, this kind of was another twist that I was going, trying to figure out what is the plan and who's running things. You know what I mean? Which side is the good side? Maybe he's from the bad side, and the other ones are the ones that are being protected. And the robot,
okay.
see,
Yeah, well, throughout the second act, like nobody ever buys a book for the middle of the book. You always buy a book for the beginning and the end.
mm-hmm,
Movies are a little different. Movies sometimes have a stronger middle than a beginning and an end. This
mm-hmm,
movie has a very strong middle. I'm not saying it's better than the ending. I like it all the way through. I think this movie fucking rocks, but this movie has a very strong middle section. But at the very least, you can see it in Hendrickson's eyes because he's kind of wondering, I think, are we the bad guys?
mm-hmm.
And I think he actually asks that of himself as they're discussing all the various war crimes that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel that's what's going on with this movie. I
Well,
think that
one of the other things though that I was going to interject, I'm sorry, if you want me to wait and let you finish,
no, you're Jan. We don't
was
come here for me. We
I'm
you
sorry, I'm just so bad at that. But
you're fine. It's okay.
the fact that he handed him that cigarette to smoke, right? The one guy that got squeezed and he died. Okay. Now he might have been a new robot, one of the brand new ones. And that's why he didn't understand that for some reason he has to smoke this thing to make him think he's a human. See, each of the robots are trying to teach the other robots that they're human beings. Okay, that we are humans. This is how we live because we're vulnerable. Okay, they have to protect themselves because they're humans. Okay, and when you're a robot, well, how are you a human? Because you remember Data wanted to be human so bad, and he wanted human qualities, but he didn't look human. Okay, but he acted more human than he looked. You see what I mean? Someone seeing him for the first time would go, be taken back by him. But if he looked like me, his skin and everything, he looked more like me, even though he acted quirky, people would still accept him as a human because he had enough human qualities, the way he spoke, that him having a pet cat, all those different things made him more human, except the way he looked. So that took you back. But this guy, when he's got that little cigarette thing and he's smoking it and he just coughs a little bit and he asks the question, it's weird that we have to put something in our lungs to combat something in our lungs. He had that logical answer right away, for it, but he didn't not do it. It was like, I don't know. There was some things that he said and the way he reacted to things that made me think that maybe he's a robot. Maybe he's the one and he's new, but he doesn't realize that he's a robot, that type of thing. Because I kept going back to Blade Runner with her character over and over again in my head. These are robots that don't know they're robots yet or haven't figured it out. So the older robots would be the ones that would know, because they're the ones that are building the newer robots. Because remember when they kept saying in that room, there was like 5 of them in there and they were arguing about who number 2 was, who's number 2. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe he was number 2, the one that got squeezed and thrown.
No.
He might have been it. He might have been number 2.
It was Becker. Becker even tells you. Becker tells you down in the bunker, the type 2s, the other type is the wounded soldier that shows up on the battlefield after there's been a war. Hey, snorted poopus. After there's been a fight, there's a battle. The next day on the battlefield, there will be soldiers writhing around in pain, screaming, "Help me, help me, help me." And then all of a sudden, people go to help them, and as they're trying to render aid, the robot says, "Help me," and then they just kill them.
Yeah.
And so that's
Or
and that's what happened with Becker.
the wounded soldier is the one that was going to be flying back to Earth to say, I barely got out of there alive.
That very well could be.
See, that's what I'm saying. There were so many what ifs over this way and over there, and tentacles going out. I'm still left not knowing whether or not he was a human or not. You see that now before he came, his daughter, the second part, how they put that together and have him have a daughter. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I'm intrigued about maybe seeing the second one because of all the what ifs. That's what I said. All the way to the end, I was trying to figure it out, just like that other movie we watched, where the one girl was a robot, you know, and she was going to explode at the end, and they had to get him out of there because he was going to get blown up too, because she was really
exploded because she got cooked by the rocket.
Yeah, but she got caught.
Chemicals in the android exploded. Whatever JP5 or stuff was inside her, whatever it was that powered her, was not friendly to the rocket exhaust. And that's why she went kaplooey. Before that, however, if you're a male or if you appreciate nice boobs, you do get like 3 seconds of Jennifer Rubin, the hot heroin addict from Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street. You get a chance to see her boobs, and that's it.
But in Madeline Stowe, you didn't believe that she was possibly a robot. You see?
No, I didn't believe that she was a robot.
Would you say that was a sci-fi horror too, or not?
That was more sci-fi. I didn't really find it so horror.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there wasn't as much gloom and doom and grossness and stuff as it was in this movie. But the fact that you're still left at the very end wondering, you know, you're wondering if who you think was a robot was really a robot or if they were human. We're still confounded on, we can't say for sure, except for the ones that we saw, like the little boy with electrical parts coming out and stuff like that. So if you could stab him and nothing happened to him, you know, how do you know that you weren't killing a person? You see, that kind of thing. That's what made him more like the Terminator. You know, when he stripped away all his skin and everything else, he was titanium and, you know, parts. You know, he was a robot underneath. But just these ones, you didn't know that. You didn't know for sure until you cut into them, and then they had the different things that were in there that were moving around or sparks coming out and stuff like that. But they did a really good job at making them look like humans and act like humans. They were assholes like humans, and they were also nice to some degree with feelings, like when the one guy was going to smoke that thing, him not realizing that, you know, he's helping him, make him feel more human so that he would think he's a human, even though he wasn't. I don't know. That, to me, that my point of view on that one, you know, part. And there might have been a few humans, but honestly, if you think about it, if they had this whole compound, right, with all the people in it, supposedly running it, and then underneath the ground beneath them is the robots building other robots, supposedly, but no one ever went down there. That is, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense that no one at all, no humans ever went down there to check and see what was going on, whether they had power down there, enough products to make the stuff they needed, and who was the people that were mining the terrenium to get to Earth. You know, all this, there was a lot of gaps in this, so there's no answers for it. But the fact that there wouldn't be any humans left, because if they were almost all robots, why wouldn't they just take over and kill the other ones in their sleep and just make more of them and get rid of them? Because the one,
the completion of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We get to see the whole aspect of the robot's final plan, and they took over the NEB bunker, and they were moving in on the original Earthers bunker at the start of the film, and that is exactly the movie we got, in my opinion. That's just the movie that's in my head, because we got to see all that. We get to see everything from the start of the fall of this planet, Sirius 6B, to the very end when the last human from it is killed.
Hmm.
And that, to me, is a perfect sci-fi horror film. I
Hmm.
know that sounds depressing for some of you, but I think this is about as good as you're going to get if you want a movie that from start to finish runs a complete story. Now, there are other films that are a lot like this that might do things a little better, like the CGI at the very end of the movie reminded me of a PS2 graphic, which is not bad because it's from
No.
1995 and a PS2 came out in what, 99, 2000, right
Hmm.
about the dawn of the second Iraqi War. And because so I remember
Honestly, though, I didn't see anything in this movie to me that aged it, or that made it say it had to be only in this era. See what I mean?
no, the movie does a very good timeless job of doing things right. The CGI for the little critters when they're not doing stop motion or practical effects, I think
Yeah.
that kind of hurt it. I
Yeah.
think
A
the
little.
ending, the rocket sequence as it's taken off, I think
Mhm.
that was pretty poor. But for at the
To
time, it
me,
was
that was the worst thing in the whole movie when it
that
came
right
to
there is it.
special effects. That was
But
it.
the other part being the laser beams when they drop the gun and then Chuck gets dropped on the blue lasers, and they both kind of go away. Although I did like
I didn't think that was that was that bad. I really
eh,
don't. I
that's
have
like the
seen
worst.
some brand new stuff that's come out on TV.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
I'm saying B rate, but some brand new
saying
stuff that's come
Marvel,
out that was worth way worse than that. So
but
what I'm saying is, if they had made that and they used that exact effect now in a movie, I don't think it would have hurt the
it
movie.
would have it would still hold up. It would get more complaints because more people would see it because it's
Yeah,
Marvel.
people might complain a little bit, but they're not going to say, "Oh God, this movie came out in the '90s." No one
Like
would say that. That's what I mean.
I saw I
Mhm.
picked up, I want to say herpes, but actually it was Black Widow from Marvel,
Yeah.
and that movie's final act looks such shit.
Hmm.
This movie looks like fucking two generations of sci-fi John Dykstra ahead of it.
Yeah.
Like they fucking got it right, and this movie does things right, except for the laser blast or the laser scene where the gun gets dropped in the laser and then Chuck falls in the laser. Those are the only two bad parts. That's the worst part of this film. The rocket taking
And I
off is
didn't think it was that bad. I've seen way
yeah,
worse.
yeah.
I mean, the movie, what was it? Willy's Wonder World or
You've
Wonderland?
you haven't watched that movie all the way through, so we can't really say much about
No,
it.
the robot scene, the some of the robot stuff that was in that was worse than the lasers in this movie. And it was not that old. I mean, how long ago was that? 3 years ago that it came out?
Three,
Yeah.
maybe
So
3 years
I'm
ago.
telling you, you could take this movie and repackage it a little bit and put it out right now as a B-rate or a lower, right out on like straight to Netflix, something like that, and this would make money. I really believe that because to me the technology doesn't look so bad like Godzilla or or something from the
Yeah.
past that I don't even think young people would even think that it was that old. You see what I
I'll
mean?
I'll say I'll say one nasty thing. This movie
What?
was made in '94 and
Hmm.
it was released in late '95, early '96,
Hmm.
and then the sequel came out in 2009. The sequel looks shittier than the first movie, and
Okay, well, I can believe that.
that's often the case. Like Starship Troopers 2 does not hold a candle to Starship Troopers 1 for special effects or plot or anything. Like even the actress that played the captain in Starship Troopers 1, she got
Mhm.
sliced in half by the door. They give her a brunette wig and she plays a different character in the second one.
Yeah.
And for a moment, like I had to watch it and I had to rewind it. Like that can't be right. And I watched it again. Like, yeah, that's what they did. Fuck. It's just that's a terrible movie. Like the Starship Troopers Roughnecks is a head and shoulders above the Starship Troopers sequels, and Roughnecks isn't as good as the first movie, which the Roughnecks is still enjoyable watch. It really is. Starship Troopers 1 is such joy. It's dripping with sci-fi goodness. I just love every aspect of that movie. I can't really find a big fault in it except the fact that fucking uh, Denise Richards didn't die. I still feel the same way from like when I did in 1997. And fucking, I'm listening to the commentary track between Newmeyer and fucking uh, the director, and the director and the writer talking about how test audiences hated the fact that Denise Richards lived, and their the red haired chick that everybody loved that had no boobs, she died. And like, well, yeah, we were upset because she actually loved Johnny Rico. She actually cared.
Yeah.
And then she's dying. She does the greatest overacting of all. Johnny Rico, it doesn't matter because I had that. I got to have you. And then gurgle death. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, that was kind of cheesy, but I'll
Yeah.
take.
And she was really in love with him. See,
Yes, he was.
that was the difference.
And she was a joy to watch because her character is that same spunky kid from high school that you knew that if there was something going on, if there was a competition she was a smidgen invested in, she wanted to win. And that's why whenever they're playing that football variant in the high school gymnasium, she smacks Johnny Rico in the head. Hey, get your ass back in the game. It's fucking great. And I fucking love that movie. That's still one of my favorite 90s sci-fi films of all time. This movie's not too far behind it because as much as I bitched about some of the early CGI that's in this movie, damn, they did it right. They gave us good fucking script. They gave us amazing matte paintings. Who does a matte painting anymore, kids? Raise your hand. Tell me the latest film you've seen that uses matte paintings, because they don't fucking do that anymore. It's a lost art, like driving a stick shift. Okay, that is something that's so rare nowadays. You don't even see it in movies. It's disgusting. Everything's CGI, ones and zeros. And not that CGI is bad, but CGI has made so many people lazy and has put other talented people out of work because the price for their services is a bit much. I'm sorry that you can't afford, $10,000 for a matte painting shot. That sucks, but it just frustrates the shit out of me. While you're at it, guys, if you've got an opinion about this movie, do me and Ms. Janet a favor. Put your score in the chat like our good friend Six Nations 31 Kings does. Thank you so much for letting me rant.
70%. I was trying to read that. Sorry.
Oh. 6.3 out of 10. I rated it 78 75 out of 100. Solid script, good lead cast. Locations and matte paintings are gorgeous. Watched it over the TV on the years. Yeah, I've seen this movie like 4 times in the last 6 months because I finally.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking hunted this movie down because it was worth watching again. Mm-hmm. And I just got happy because I found a stream for next week's movie. Next week's movie, by the way, is A History of Violence, a David Cronenberg movie with Viggo Mortensen. You remember him as Aragorn from...
I've never seen this one either. Wow, I'm amazed how many movies I haven't seen. But the thing is the actress that played the one I'm kind of supposed to be dressed up like, only
Rubin?
What other movies was she in? She looks familiar, but I kept throwing, God, I have no idea what she was in.
Really?
But she looked very familiar. She's a pretty good actress.
She should. She's been in a lot of good movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in some really stinkers too. It's actress Jennifer Rubin. She's a lady that's into the boomer. It's not quite Generation X, but she's a smidge older than me and you. But she used to be a model, and she
just looks so familiar.
She was voted Ford International Model of the Year in 1984.
Uh-huh.
And movies she's known for is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors.
Oh, I didn't see the third one, so it can't be that. The third
one, she plays the heroin junkie. What a rush. She played the crush as Amy Maddock. She was the main character's girlfriend in this movie, which the crush is the debut of Alyssa Silverstone.
Yeah.
And Kerry Hughes is however you pronounce that. He's in this movie as well. Great, stupid 1993 movie.
Yeah, I know him. Wasn't he in like Robin Hood Men in Tights?
I believe he was.
And he was in Saw because he was the one that was he's had to saw his own ankle,
I believe so.
something. Yeah, I remember in those things, those two movies.
Yeah, I like him as an actor. He's done pretty good. He was in Saw, Robin Hood Men in Tights, The Princess Bride. He was Wesley, and Kiss the Girls. He was Nick Ruskin. He was
I don't
Wesley.
remember Kiss the Girls, but I remember the Men in Tights, a few other movies that he was in. Yeah, I remember him.
And anyway, she was her primary time was the late '80s, early '90s. Because
Yeah, I'm trying to look at that list.
she came out. Her debut was Dream Warriors. Then she was on a Twilight Zone series called The Song of Younger World. I don't remember that one. Bad Dreams, Permanent Record, Blueberry Hill. She was Claire in Miami Vice. She was in The Doors. I do remember her in The Doors. She was in Drop Dead Gorgeous, a stupid TV movie. Tales from the Crypt, The Crush. Yeah, I remember her now because
I might have seen her in Tales from the Crypt because I really liked that series.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was really good. Some of the episodes were like really genius, I thought.
Yeah, they were. Kind of pissed me off that they stopped making it, but there was some really good stuff that came out of it, like all those episodes that are damn near gold. Tales from the Crypt and Twilight Zone are fucking top tier. Right underneath that is Tales from the Dark Side.
Mm-hmm.
Tales from the Dark Side is like the USA budget movie.
Yeah.
And it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. She was in Red Scorpion 2, which is not a good movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
That's a sequel to a Dolph Lundgren film. And I love Dolph Lundgren, but that is not a movie that we need to watch.
He was in that. She was in the Chris Isaac music video. That might be one of the places I've seen her.
And this is right at the same time she's in Screamers.
Yeah.
Sister Sherilyn.
Plus, I think she was in a lot of commercials.
Lots.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember.
Oh, she was in a parody movie. She was in Plump Fiction.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I found myself.
But that wasn't a porn, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's got a 2.7 rating on IMDb. It's rated R.
Candy Cane. I think it is a porn. Probably a soft porn or whatever.
It's got Jennifer
name like
in it.
Candy.
It's got Stifler's
Candy.
mom in it. It can't be a porn. It's probably like a Porky's or Meatballs type movie.
Maybe I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But
watch it. I'll let you know.
With a name like Candy Cane, I'm sure she's sucking on something.
Or maybe she just likes to get sucked on.
Maybe, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. It just sounds like an edible name. So isn't that what they normally try to use in those movies? So
okay, here's the MPAA stuff. Rated R for strong language and some comic violence. I'll check it out. It might be really bad. It might be a gold mine. I don't know. It's 2.9 on IMDb means it's right in my yeah,
but what you need to see is on Rotten Tomatoes, because the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is usually spot on. If it's really low from the audience, then it's probably pretty shitty on Rotten Tomatoes. So, but I mean, I was impressed. I thought this movie was way better than I was expecting it to be. But when you told me how old Peter Weller was in the movie, I was like, wow, he looked older to me than that in that movie.
So this movie has a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. Plump Fiction.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably not very good.
No, it's not. Of course, it's not very good. I live for schlock.
I know. I've seen a few of your like Meat Train one. It was okay. But you said it wasn't as bad as Bad Girls was. So we all pick bad movies. We all have a bad movie that we like. Anyone that says they don't like any bad movies, they're full of shit. Because There's no way. Everyone loves something that's bad.
The movie that I'll give you grief for probably the most is going to be G.I. Jane, because
Really?
that movie, yeah, that movie should have been science fiction.
Oh, I liked it. I still like it. I've gotten
Okay.
more and more views on it. I'm still getting views on it, so that's good.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, like, I did not appreciate that movie as much as I wanted to. The movie in
Mhm.
my head is a lot better. Like, I could see some things in the movie actually happening, but there's
Mhm.
like 90% of the movie Bruce would rewrite, and like Rush Limbaugh would be the narrator, and it would make a lot more sense. And it would follow how reality actually would treat the first woman to do 10 pull-ups. Okay.
Yeah.
Not just to mention the fact she was, she got through buds, but that the fucking
Just
8 week.
watching her do some of the exercises that she did in the shed by herself, the one arm push-ups and some of the other stuff, I was like, hot damn, I wish I could do some of that stuff. And I work out. I work out every other day. And man, I tell you right now, her regimen that she did in that movie, I don't know if I could keep up with her.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to have small boobs for a minute, go ahead and do it. You can do it. I believe in you. But
Hmm.
after you get done, your boob is going to come back, because her boobs sure as hell came back. Or
Well,
she saw a doctor. I
or
don't
she
know.
paid for them, because most girls that I know that lose a lot of weight and they do a lot of those exercises, they don't have any boobs. They just have skin, and they have to go get a boob job, because that's fat. Okay. Your boobs, you have your mammary glands in there, but everything else is fat around it that holds your mammary glands where they belong or whatever. Now, if they fill up with
And
milk, they're going to be bigger. But then once the milk goes away, the glands shrink back up again, just like your uterus. Your uterus shrinks back up because it grows and stretches for the baby. But once the baby comes out, it takes longer and longer each time. And you have to do exercises and stuff like that to get your uterus to shrink back up, because the uterus is normally the size of a fist. So, the size of a heart. So, but it does go back. It's just that skin that stretches. Once it goes back, it sometimes doesn't go back exactly the way it was before. It's like a balloon when you blow it up multiple times.
quote of the day goes to Six Nations, 31 Kings. Keep them real. Keep them safe. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, I don't know. I know a few guys that like them. I mean, I've seen girls that have went and had boob jobs, and they're like triple F or whatever. And they're huge. I mean, look like watermelons. And I don't even know how they stand up. Some of these girls, but guys will go over and get their picture taken and give them a brewski or whatever, just because they want to play with them. It doesn't matter; they're not real. Guys seem to like them, whatever size they are. If
Janet.
a guy sees nipples over here and he sees giant bazookas over there, he's going to go to the bazookas. He's not going to take nipples.
No, not always, because there's dudes that I accuse of being gay. I accuse these guys of being gay, like you wouldn't suck on a perfect set of C cups or D cups. Oh no, that's
Well,
too much.
all I
I'm
know
like,
is that I put a video out, and I had my boosty up bra on and had a lot of cleavage showing. It was a
if you want to
massive
give me
amount of
that
cleavage.
link, if you want to give me that link, I'll pass it on to our
And
audience with science.
okay, I'll have to look it up real quick. But the thing is that it was one of the pickup lines that I did, and I was wearing one of my bathing suit tops with some jeans, and I had a guy that left an actual comment that said that he thought it was pretty nice, pretty impressive, but he said I prefer plums over coconuts. That's what he told me. So there are guys that like little boobs, I guess, compared to and mine aren't even that big. I mean, mine are double D, but they're not as massive as I've seen women. I don't even know how they stood up, honestly. Their back would hurt. I mean, because your shoulders start to hurt, because you're wearing a bra, especially if you don't go bra. I don't like going braless. I don't want my boobs at my belly button. So I even
We
sleep
don't
in a
want
bra.
that either. We don't want that either, Janet. Don't think we do.
So
Don't.
wearing, fighting gravity is important for if you want to have nice boobs, for as long as possible. You have to,
Soybean
bras are
Jeremy
made for
says,
that.
I like mine saggy. I like mine saggy
You
and
need to
like
show that
about
costume that lady was wearing, with the
uh
tube socks.
yeah, let me see if I can find
Soy
that.
base would probably love that one because that's a great costume. I'm gonna do
Base
that
will get
one
a
day.
boner off that. He'll be fucking asked me for a link on it. Bruce, give me
Yeah, maybe if he likes them that way. I mean, it's one of he likes the. I guess he likes it when you can throw it over your shoulder and then put it back down again or something. I don't know. Hacky sack boobs. I've seen women with those too, and I have actually seen people shopping at a store where you could see their boobs hanging out of the bottom of their shirt. So people do it. I mean, it sounds disgusting, but
this is a costume that you can buy. You
yeah,
tie
or you can make it.
or yeah, you can make it. There was a sad thing I saw not long ago.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
There were fat girls working at Hooters, and I
Mhm.
didn't think that they made that orange fabric color anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a thing anymore. I thought they just stopped making it. That was we're over, you know.
You know
And
what? I have an idea for a restaurant.
oh god, Dickies.
You could open a restaurant and call it Hoofers and have skin tight outfits and stuff for, women that they have to weigh over 300 pounds.
Like I have to make that a Cajun restaurant, a Cajun seafood restaurant,
That
just
would
to
be
get.
great.
I could get the black.
And they could have little cow ears, with the little cowbell around their neck, and then have spotted uniforms that are
Yeah,
spandex,
yeah.
that's skin tight, and maybe had an open midriff so that you could see the actual
Oh
beef
my.
that you might be able to sample.
Just as an appetizer, we should sell roast beef.
Hmm. Chicken tenders or chicken fingers.
Chicken tendies. Gotta call them chicken tendies.
Or I don't know. I'm just saying little piggies in a blanket and all that kind of stuff. Now watch, someone's gonna see this show and say, that's a great idea. I'm gonna open a restaurant and call it that. Hoofers. But in Las Vegas, there is a restaurant. It's called the Heart Attack Grill.
Mm-hmm. I
Have you
love
heard of
that place.
that?
I have.
Yeah, man, you can see the menu. It's like the ladies run around. Your waitress is dressed like a nurse, cardiac nurse. She comes out there with a little crash cart to bring you your food because you're gonna have a heart attack if you eat all of it. Tons of bacon and beef and cheese, all the good stuff that you love. And then you can lick your fingers when you're done. Yeah, it's good fun. It's good food.
I'm not against this. I think this is great.
Yeah, giant, massive burgers. I mean, like that big, huge. It's expensive, but it's worth it if you can take a group to go there. I would love to. That would be fun.
Chi-Chi's would work too.
Mm-hmm. Chi-Chi's, that's too nice of a name.
Too nice
I
of a
think
name.
Hoofers. Hoofers is better, something like that. Can't even call it Cougars because Cougars, people at least expect them to be attractive in some form.
Okay.
But you can call it Hoofers and have anybody, guys and girls, as waiters and waitresses, and they wouldn't have to be attractive. You just want to make sure that they look like they eat well. I bet you'd have a lot of people because those chubby calendars sell like hotcakes. Those are one of the number one selling calendars.
You can't. You're kidding me, right?
Look it up. Look it up real quick. Fat fetish is one of the top fetishes. People will pay money, $100 an hour or more, to have a big fat girl come and roll on top of them and stuff, sit on them and go.
Oh, I saw that on.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
saw
a
that
fetish. It's a fetish documentary about different fetishes. People that like to get the shit beat out of them, by a woman that's a good wrestler. Like that video you've watched many times where the woman squeezes a watermelon between her thighs.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So,
she's got these huge, loving, muscular thighs that you should wear like earmuffs.
yeah, but I know. But what I'm saying is she could probably make money and go into apartments and wrestle men, pin them to the ground, hold them down because they want to be dominated. See? So there's just tons of fetishes
a lot
out
of
there.
those girls aren't as quote unquote kinky as the mainstreamers want to think, because in all actuality the fetishist provider does not want the payer to have a release,
Mhm.
and that kills the entire thing. Like, yeah, you get like everything but your hard on taken care of. Like, no, you're failing. You just
Well,
have to
see,
go out.
there was a video that was like trending. Oh, it's a couple months ago, but it had a guy, and he was in a parking lot, and there was these two girls, and they were dressed in very anime, scantily clad, with lots of meat hanging out, if you know what I'm saying, on their butts and their breasts, and he was wanting them to kick him in the balls, and he paid them to do it because
That
that was his turn on. So the real hot babe kicked him in the balls, and he laid on the ground and moaned a little bit. But see, that his whole thing is getting beat up, getting kicked in the nuts. That turns him on for some reason. It's really weird. But there's so many weird fetishes out there. It's kind of scary if you think about it, because you don't you meet a guy and you're dating him. He's not going to tell you, yeah, I like to get kicked in the balls, but I'm not going to tell you about that until after we're married, that type of thing. So then you get up with him, and then you find out all these kinks that these people have got because they didn't want to talk about it beforehand, especially if they're wanting to get into somebody they think they're going to actually have a long-term relationship with. So it's best to get the kink out. Tell the person you're going to be with that, yeah, I got some kink. So, because if you don't get it from your spouse, you're going to be cheating on them. You're going to be going out getting the kink from someone else. So the best thing for you to do is be honest up front about your kink. Whatever it is, spankings, I don't know. There's so much stuff out there. It's amazing. But
I'm going to post something here just for a second, and
oh,
there
I
we
love
go.
that one. Did you see what Fair Nation? Six Nations posted. Yeah, that one. Oh
That's
my
perfect.
God, it's hilarious. But
That's like marriage right there. That's like complete marriage material.
mhm.
And so, all right, soy based Jeremy, I'll do what you fucking ask, but I have to have the fair use
I've
definition down.
seen I've seen Gorlak before.
Yes, and
You
let's.
showed her to me, or
I go to UCB and I also bartend.
that's the one I said. I thought, was it supposed to be from Star Wars?
That is Star Wars because
I
I
know.
don't what fucking no, that's not my type, you little shithead. What type of fucking person would want to roll around with a fat fuck like that? That looks like an Innsmouth special, okay? Like I read Lovecraft, I
I'm
see
gonna
that.
find something on my phone and I'm gonna send it to you in Discord. Do
No,
you have like TikTok?
no.
Oh, well, I guess I can't show it to you then. There's a couple of women on TikTok that have like 300,000 subscribers, and they're huge. They're huge. I mean, I don't even know how they even walk. They're so big, and they get men that send them stuff all the time. Tons of super chats, and they make lots of money because the guys want them to wear this bathing suit they bought them, things like that. I'm sure that she even makes money. The one, she's blonde. She probably makes money from doing private streams and stuff like that with these guys that want to spend a lot of money and see a lot of fat. A lot of. There was this group that I bumped into some people, and he was wearing a shirt, and he said he likes tens or something like that, good little hot babes or something like that. But he was huge. He was a huge guy. And I went up and I asked him, I said, well, why would you think, you could get a woman like that, a 10, when you look like you do? And he said, because I'm in the Rolling Thunder. And I was like, huh? What's that? And he goes, well, it's a group of people that weigh over a certain amount of pounds. And I said, well, what do you have to do to get in this group? And he said, that they would lay the person on a bed, and then the 3 or 4 of them would lay on top of them. And if they could survive, then they would get to join the Rolling Thunder. But they had to be big too. They had to be, really big people. So just weird groups like that. So I never asked to go into the group. So, but people do. But I don't think he's alive anymore. I think he died of a heart attack or something. But he was fun. He was a nice guy. Once I got to meet him, but I wouldn't have even approached him if he hadn't been wearing that shirt. So
Interesting.
never know.
So, I mean, does it not look like something that Howard Phillips Lovecraft would write about? That fucker has a fucking set of lips that go from one side of the jaw to the other.
You
Holy
talking about
shit.
Gorlock?
Gorlock, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what women with low self-esteem.
they look Samoan to me, like they're probably Samoan. I've seen them on a couple things. Was it a person that had a sex change, or is it a real woman?
I have no idea. I almost don't want to know.
Well, to me, I feel sorry for some people, even young people, because when I see a person wearing a tank top like that, and there's a pancake boob where it looks like you could put a plate or something underneath their boob and it would stay there, even if they weren't wearing a bra and you weren't holding it, because they go braless so much, they look like a Native American, like the documentaries when you were a kid, and they had these documentaries and they show all the Native women dancing around with holding their babies or whatever, and their boobs are like really flat and hanging down. Okay, that's from going braless for long periods of time. So they would say you need to do the pencil test to see if you have, nice strong boobs or whatever. I'm like, what do you mean? They go, well, you take a pencil and you lift your boob and you set it underneath there, and if your boob can hold a pencil and it doesn't fall, then you need to start doing, certain exercises to perk up your boobs.
Interesting.
So I've always tried to do that because I don't want my boobs to look like that when I take my bra off. I don't want them to be flat, like they hang down like that. Ugh. I hope they never look that bad.
Well, sometimes, like, you can't really help it. There's some women, they have big boobs, and once they like take the shirt off, like the boobs part, they just fall.
No,
down.
I'm not talking about parting, because all boobs part, especially if you lay down flat. A woman, this is a thing. I told my guy friends this. They're like, I like this girl. She's really hot. She got a nice rack and stuff. But how do I know if they're real or not? And I said, well, sometimes you can tell by feeling of them, because you can tell that when you play with them enough, you can tell that there's a ball in there, whatever, but they're getting better and better at making them. But I said, today, if you can ever get her to lay flat on her back without a bra on and her boobs fall to the side, where they kind of like hang a little bit on the sides and they go flat right in the middle, then they're probably real, more than likely, 90% chance. If they stay here, right where they're at, they're
they can stand straight out.
So
like
a lot of women are getting boob jobs where they go under the muscle so that they just stay there all the time, and then other ones are getting them to where they're on the outside of your pecs, so that they fall a little bit, so they look more realistic. So it just depends on whether you get a good surgeon, and you'll have a scar either under their breast or in their armpit, because that's where they put the boob in. So if they don't have those, then pretty much they're going to be real.
This segment of today's program is brought to you by coupons. We bring good things to life. And Pfizer, because they have money.
It's funny what Papa Cotton wrote. Women have turned dating into a scam.
It is.
It's not just women. There was a guy. My sister used to work at a factory that made paper. They made paper boxes and stuff. So they take shredded recycled paper and they bring it in and they put it this big thing and they mix it and do all this stuff with it. But there was a guy that worked there and he was like one of the security guys. And I remember all the women bragged about him because they said he had a really buff. He was real buff and he always wore really tight pants and it always looked like he had a huge wanger, right? Okay. And one day, one of the shelves fell over and landed on his leg. They had to call the fire department to help him, and they cut his pants off, and it was a sausage taped to his leg. And I remember everybody talking, but he ended up quitting his job because he couldn't go back to work there because all the women knew it wasn't real. So, men, don't do that. You never know if you're going to get caught in a car accident or something. Everyone's going to find out. So just don't waste your time doing stuff like that. So men do fake too, not just women. But, you should be warned. I'm letting all you guys know that women can wear underwear that have fake pads in them, to make their ass look bigger, Or if you don't see their ass in a bathing suit, yeah, just like somebody said, make her wear a bathing suit on their first date. And I'm saying, well, what about the guy? You better have something to show if you expect the woman to show you something.
I mean, what do you want, what do you want, Janet? Do you want helicopter or do you what? Come on.
I don't know, but what I'm saying is that if guys expect a woman to look a certain way, what does he got to offer besides a fat wallet? And then all they say is all she wants is your money.
What's
I don't want your money. If you can make me laugh and make me have a good time, then that's pretty much what I'm looking for. If you can't keep me laughing or entertained or have a conversation with me, then I'm probably not interested.
I'm just gonna say that like I was saying yesterday, that the 9 fits you.
Mm-hmm.
There's another component we'll discuss off camera about that because I finally figured it out. But
because it's what was it called? Numerology? Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, it's called numerology. I gave you a link for 15.
But don't say my birthday. Don't say my birthday.
It's interesting, but I figured out some other stuff about you, and I got to say that like the 9 that definitely fits the Janet that we know, and yeah, that's all I need to say about that. I'm enjoying the shit out of this movie. Guys,
yeah, the movie was really good. I really did enjoy it, way more than I was expecting.
Crafting Gamer has been a member for 9 months, and he's been busy. Did you know that he's working on a fiction project?
Me?
Now, no. Yeah, the Crafting Gamer is working on a story, and it's in our Discord. Apparently, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I need to go look at it because it might not be "quote unquote" finished or edited. But I want to see that. I do.
I'm gonna be off. I'm not gonna have a lot to do for the next 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, unless I do a music video space or something on X. But I should have time to go and read his stuff that he posted. Finally,
I'm looking forward to hearing about it, and I plan on looking at it before I go to bed tonight. Today, I should say, because I got to wake up at 1. But I'm looking forward to this because it should be fairly interesting. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a lot of fun to listen to. He's got some good ideas for a campaign. Designing his own RPG, which I'm eager to play more of and just see how he puts it together, because it's not a conventional type game. If you like Palladium Books style games, Rift's Palladium Fantasy, Nightbane, then his book will be very easy to read for you. It's among that game theory, but I really am looking forward to the Crafting Gamer's work. Let's see. Thank you for saying that was hilarious yesterday. We have a review from Six Nations. You want to read that?
It says IDMB. What is that?
Internet Movie.
Oh, he misspelled it wrong. It's IMDb, but gives it a 6.3, I guess, out of 10. And he says he rates it a 70 or 75 out of 100. You know what? It's really funny how Six Nations and I tend to rate our movies very close. Every time it seems like when he reads it, I'm like, yeah, I'd give it a 70 myself. That's where I would rate this movie myself. So a solid script, good lead, a decent cast. Yeah, Peter Weller did a really good job being the character they did. But the guy that got squished, whatever that actor's name was, I thought he was very, very good, very believable for his character, and he made Weller look even better. You know what I mean? They played well off each other when it comes to to me, if you have two good actors working side by side, especially in there in a lot of scenes by themselves, it's mostly dialogue, that's good. That means you have good chemistry, and I think they did really good together. But he said that the locations and matte paintings were gorgeous. Always watched it on TV over the years. The scenes that wherever they filmed it, were you able to look that up?
Yep, it's in Vancouver. They filmed
okay.
They filmed it.
They filmed so much in Canada. It's very versatile up there. But see, that the thing is, when you have a real country that's very cold most of the time, you have to only spring. You know, in summer basically is the only time you'd be able to film. But I can see why they would want to film in Canada in summer, because it's not going to be 114 degrees with 75% humidity like it will be down in Texas or Louisiana, you know, in some of those areas. That's why California always did so well. And in California, it was even better than Florida, because Florida has hurricane season. So here you spend all this money to rent, you know, places to put your trailers and stuff for makeup and wardrobe and all that, and crafty for a movie, and then a hurricane comes. So you film, and then you gotta move everything. You can't leave it there for the tornadoes or the hurricanes to take away. So I can see why you know, it limits the filmings and stuff like that too in Florida, and it's a lot of the states where it's tornado alley. So I can see why Vancouver and places in Canada are used so much for so many movies, because I think they did a lot of Superman movies and stuff up there too, because of what was it, that one city they used with you know, the Daily Planet.
Mhm.
You know, that was real famous for it. Wasn't that in Canada too?
I think they filmed it in Canada for Metropolis. Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it just has a lot of beautiful cities and things like that. So,
Majority of filming was done in Canada, I think, but they did a few external shots of New York City to give it complete metro urban flavor.
yeah, but even the fake city from the distance, when they were talking about the big war that they went through and stuff, all that looked very real. They did a really good job. I mean, to me, they didn't look like they skimped. You know, they didn't skimp. Even the costumes, where she had the headgear and the helmet and stuff on, okay, and the weapons that they were carrying, lots of different things that they used. They didn't skimp. It didn't look like they were dumbed down, fakey sets or any of that stuff. Everything looked very good. Just like you said, to me, the lasers weren't that bad. I mean, I've seen way worse special effects in newer movies than this one. I thought they did a great job. Whoever they had for their wardrobe people, their prop people, and set builders, all that, they did good job for whatever amount of money that they used to make this movie, because it looked lush. I mean, it looked like they didn't skimp. You know what I mean? It looked like all the sets and everything were very, very well done. Didn't look skimpy. And when they were walking through the frozen tundra and stuff, you could see ice chunks floating in the water. It just looked authentic. Everything was very realistic. Even the dirt, when they were dragging, because you know that back then they probably had wire under sand, and they put the sand over and they grate it and make it look, you know, like no one's walked on. Then they just pull the strings and get the creature to be rolling underneath the sand, you know, like they did Tremors, you know, a few other things like that. They did a good job at making it look creepy and scary. And when they were shooting at it, you had to have the squibs go off at the right time, you know, different things like that. So they just looked like they did really good at the way they spent the money to get the special effects that they did in this movie.
This
I was
cost
impressed.
$14 million for them to make.
Yeah, see, that's really cheap.
Yeah,
Even in 95.
That was amazing with the amount of money they spent.
Mm-hmm. Just like I said about The Thing. Remember the opening sequence of The Thing, that you see it melting away, and then they had the bright light behind it that comes out from the letters. That was done with a garbage bag, remember? When we looked it up, it was very impressive, the thought that went into the special effects and what they wanted to do and their props and how they wanted that they used that old hot tub, you know, and they made it look like it was a big frozen thing that they took out of the ice, but it was an old hot tub, and they just put it and spray painted it and put pieces on it to make it look like frozen ice, but with a hole, because they had taken something out of the center. I mean, to me, I just think it's great. I just think we're losing the art of that because now everything's CGI. You know, they don't even build props or anything anymore.
Yeah,
It just,
that.
I just think it's great. That's what made Jaws so good, is because they actually used a huge robot named Bruce that they named Bruce for the shark.
I
You
don't
know?
complain about that. I love the fact that people think of me whenever they watch Jaws.
But you know, to me, I love that. I think that the like the special effects that won an Academy Award for the American Werewolf in London. You know, the work that they did on the robotic werewolf, and the hair coming out of his body as it's growing, as he's transforming, all the details that they put into it. You know, I wish they would do that more. I wish they would give awards for that type of makeup and stuff, because more people would probably do it if they thought it was worth doing it, to make it look a certain way, instead of just doing everything CGI. Because to me, I can tell all the work that they did on Michael Jackson's Thriller video for that. It was a theatrical movie. I mean, all the detail and stuff they put into all the different zombies that are dancing and everything on the soundstage and stuff. They just don't do that anymore. You just don't see real creative artistry anymore through these people. And what's sad is all the work that we see all these special effects guys do with the monster makeup and everything. Why are they going to need it if everything's done with CGI? That's going to be a lost art.
It is, and the thing is that I think we all value practical effects, because after you're done with a shot, you've got a prop, and you can use it again. You can do stuff with it. Like, look at the helmets for the movie Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
Those were sitting in a warehouse in 2001, and Joss Whedon was like, "I'm going to use those for the Federation soldiers for Firefly," and he filmed that for episode 3, I think, when they were doing the train job. And those helmets have been used over and over again for the franchise for Starship Troopers, a franchise I keep going back to in conversation, and for good reason, because they do a lot of things right with that series. Do I wish they had a couple bugs that were life size and, you know, plaster? I would love that, but that's not practical, which is why practical effects are for small manipulatable things, and that's why you have CGI for those things that are not going to be for such. You're going to have CGI available for other aspects, like if you do need to have a giant hairy hand grab somebody. Now, don't make it look all janky like Suburban Sasquatch, and that's the movie Janet and I will watch. We will watch Suburban Sasquatch at some point because Janet needs to see it. We will probably do that as just like a member stream, because that would be something that you guys could join in. It'll be the Riff Tracks version of Suburban Sasquatch. You'll laugh. God, if you don't laugh watching that movie, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with you. You're almost like needing help, because that's just a fucking unintentional comedy, and it's a joy like that. But I want you guys to have the opportunity to see that, and Janet needs to see it for the fact that that's not how you make a movie. Worse yet is that DVD. The director goes into a full 40-minute. This is why I made the show. This is how I did it. This is what the process I went through. And he thinks he did something really cool and important, but he made one of the worst movies of all time. And now I'll let you talk, Janet.
It's all right. I was just going to say, if you think about it, right now when they're setting up scenes, I'm not going to say some of the movies, but like, let's say the guy is playing cards, or there's some people playing cards. Well, they'll film all the actors sitting around having the conversation. And when they do close-ups, like this one guy might be picking his cards up and looking at them, okay, and gonna ask for one card or whatever, you know, like in the movie, the movie that we had with Mel Gibson and what was his name? Maverick. Remember the movie Maverick?
Yeah.
And they did the poker stuff, and you saw a lot of the stuff where he's close up on his hands. They probably weren't even his hands. It was probably a hand double for Mel Gibson. The one, and all the scenes that you saw where they had a close up of them holding the cards and all this different stuff. It takes a lot of time to make sure you get a good, clear picture of them moving the cards around or whatever. And they want somebody that has nice cuticles, nice knuckles, blah, 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 blah. Same thing with the ass shots for The girl that was in Blue Lagoon. Okay, she was she was underage, so they had a body double that came in and did the nude scenes in the bed and stuff like that. And the mom saw a pimple on her butt, so they made them get a different actress, things like that. So the thing is that they use other people, like the scenes where you see the actor walk out of a building and then cross the street, and you don't see their face; you just see them from behind. It's probably a double, so they don't use the actors for every scene, and they might add 2 or 3 seconds of scenery to different things to balance out the length of the movie and have filler to put in here and there that they need. And they'll use doubles. They'll use stand-ins, stand around while they set up lighting and sound equipment and all that. But when it's actually filmed on camera for certain scenes, they might not even need them anymore, because if they're not going to use a hand double, then they'll have to use CGI or whatever, and you're going to have an actor that has 6 fingers or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Because it still messes that up. But right now you use real people.
Well, my favorite thing right now is every schlep out there is talking the benefits of CGI and AI being used together. And I say, well, bring me some art. And they bring me some jank ass piece where like some lady's got like 7 fingers. Somebody was trying to show me a legit photo of Michelle Obama when she was pregnant, but she had like 6 fingers on her left hand, and it was just
I think I saw that one too.
It's so funny because like your little god of AI sucks. Stop worshiping that shitty little god. And
it'll get better. It'll get better, and then you won't be able to tell the difference.
I want them to continue to fuck up. Just like, do we go into politics? It's about an hour and 46 minutes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was a serious fuck up. Like, of all things, that's how you guys spent your Saturday. And like, I just couldn't believe like we were going through this, and Janet's crying. Everybody, I'm trying to run a game.
I know. I'm so sorry that I got so upset.
You're within your rights, because it's scary as fuck, the reality we live in. I'm over here laughing my ass off, like, because I've been expecting this for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, it finally happened. They finally got the balls to do it. And they found some little patsy, 130-pound kid carrying around a 20-pound gun. And I'm like, this is it? This is the psyop you want me to believe in? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, deep state. You pile of fucking shit. And I can't wait to see you guys get pecked to death by goddamn crows while you hang upside down. Fuck you.
That would be great. I would love to see that.
I can't wait till I have to pay my taxes.
Just think about it. If you had the money, or let's say you won the lottery or something, sure. $50 million or whatever. I mean, if I was that rich, I would want to build a little compound out in the middle of nowhere, with like 3 or 4 bedroom houses, and then have your own little garden and, my chickens or whatever else I want. Because if you wanted to have like a get together and say like for a holiday, you could invite all your friends over. They'd all have their own place to stay. And you could go horseback riding or, do different things, hunting if you had enough property. How great would that be? You know what I mean? And have your own water, your own well, so that you could have all the water you need, and then have your own little like generator building to where if the power went out, you just go out and flip a switch and all your little houses and stuff still have power. It's self-sustainable type of thing. And that would be so freaking cool. I mean, that's what I would do if I was rich. I'd want to have something like that, instead of having like a mansion with 25 bedrooms. I mean, what was it? Was it J-Lo that I was reading? They're trying to sell their $60 million mansion that they had, her and Ben Affleck, and it had like 20 bedrooms. Who needs 20 bedrooms in a house? How many servants do you have to keep that place dusted and cleaned up? I don't know. It's just, even if you don't ever go in a room, it gets dust in there, over time. I don't know. I just think it's so freaking wasteful. I don't care if I was a multi-millionaire. I don't think I could live in a house with rooms that no one ever used. I don't know. I just think it's so wasteful. I just wouldn't. I guess I'm just cheap. I just couldn't. I wouldn't want to sleep in a house. It's a ghost town, you know. I wouldn't want to be in that every day. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. I wouldn't mind having a maid that came in once a week, you know, especially if I had, you know, a lot of guests or whatever to help me with stuff. But you know, I wouldn't have to have a chef and yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how these people, if they ever lost all their money, I don't know how they'd live. You know, I don't know how they'd survive to not have someone waiting on every whim. I mean, I saw, I won't say the actor, but I saw an actor on a TV series, and he had like these 3 little underlings that followed him around. I guess they're his assistants, and one of them would come up to him, and they had a one of those jars that you use for canning, and they had some kind of liquid in it. I guess he was on a special diet or whatever. And this person would bring him that jar, take the lid off, and hold the lid and hand the jar to him so they could take a drink. And the other person would hold the lid under their chin for them while they drank. Just little shit like that. And I'm like, what a fucking loser. No one could pay me enough money per hour to follow them around and hold a lid under their chin and wipe their ass for them and shit. I would rather work in a chicken plant than wait on somebody that way. Oh my God, it was pathetic. I would never do that. But people do it. That's what people do. They look forward to doing that for someone just because they're doing it for someone that's famous. So I don't know. It's disgusting. Oh, I love that. He's always got some great stuff to talk about.
Yeah, he does. I want to see how everything turns out with this. We just had an interesting event yesterday happen. I'm talking about the Trump cease event that seemed to fail because I swear to God, life is imitating art. We have the most incompetent bad guys in our society. Like there's some points where we have the synthoids from GI Joe, which have replaced our heads of state and joint chiefs of staff, where they gave fucking F-16s to some schlupp in the Ukraine, formerly Soviet Union thing, and like we're giving the first jets are being given to some schlupp over in Ukraine, and the little shithead tin horn dictator over there is bitching. It's not enough. It's not enough. Go fuck yourself. Like I can't wait for you to get fucking wiped.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like Putin at all, but I don't like at all. Like Putin for me offers some hope because one day Putin will get tired of Biden and fold Biden's clothing with Biden still in them, and because he knows judo, and he'll do that because Putin's a dick like that. He's a thug, a dictator, and he would do such a thing. But I cannot stand Zelensky because he provides nothing. He just goes up and he butt fucks the American taxpayer.
But you got to remember, I think he was put in office simply to be used, just like Biden. I think he has nothing. I mean, this guy is a puppet. Zelensky's a puppet, and so is Biden. Whoever's in charge of running those two are doing all the stuff from behind the scenes because they don't have to have their face out there. Okay, they're getting whatever money laundering or whatever else they're getting from it, properties probably, who knows. But they're the puppets. They're the ones out front dancing around, like the emperor with no clothes or whatever. And the people behind him are just laughing their ass off while they're going through their cash. Like, yep, man, I'm getting richer and richer every day. I got all these stocks and I got this, that, and the other. And I own 5 islands or, whatever it is. I don't know what the hell they're doing it for, but they're getting a lot of something out of it using the puppets. And once the puppet gets some holes in it and their fingers start poking out, you can't move the mouth enough anymore because it doesn't look believable. It's time to take it off and put it in the garbage and get a new puppet.
they just look like they're relatives. Like there was some bad batch from Hitler's splooge, and we got Soros, and then now they've replicated the splooge, and we've got this little shithead, gay boxer, dancer, faggot that is over in Ukraine sucking up money. He's installed malware like fucking Biden is. And fuck you if you think Biden was lawfully elected. You're a pile of shit if you think that way. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. and I can't wait to not be monetized. But that
Well,
I don't give a shit about. Like seriously, like to me they look like they're fucking relatives, or at least cousins, maybe not father son, but they look far too close. So
maybe. I mean, I've seen pictures of the guy from Cuba, and they say that what's his name that runs Canada right now is his son.
Castro, and the faggot from Canada, the prime
Yeah.
minister of China.
He does look like him when he was young. I mean,
well,
I
he
posted a
was around his
picture. Oh, I'm going to pull something up.
He
I
was
got a
running
picture.
around with his mother.
I got a photo on my timeline, or on my my YouTube. You know, the part where you can post stuff, your community part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I posted a picture on here, and I'm shocked. I see it, and I just cannot get over how much they look alike. I'm going to present this really quick, if you don't mind. Look at this. Dad and son. Look at the jawline. There's the nose.
Yeah.
That is amazing to me, how much they look alike. But the thing is that my dad used to tell me that in nature, the male, okay, when they would have a child, they would want the child to look like the dad. And the reason why is because the dad would want to protect it more, because you can tell it's his kid, basically. So they do that. Same thing like in the wild with lions and stuff, is that a lion will come into the pride after he's killed the male lion. You know, whatever male lion was there, the younger lion comes in and he kills the lion, or the lion leaves because he gets his ass kicked, and he'll go in and kill every single cub from the other lion. So, and then within a month, all the females go into estrus again, and then he'll make his own litters of cubs because they're his. See, that's a natural thing that happens in the wild, and it happens with other animals. And there's other animals too, certain birds that mate for life. You know, they find a mate, and if their mate dies, they never find another. They just never breed again. So it's really, really interesting when you get to pay a lot of attention to, nature and research and stuff, because it's very, very interesting, and how similar we are compared to some animals. And the whole thing is that the male does dominate the species of every animal on the planet, if you think about it, because you have males in birds and other animals. They have flamboyant colors to attract a mate, because most of the time the males just breed, and then the females do all the rearing. You know, they come in, they breed, they impregnate the female, and then they leave and go off to find another female to impregnate. And the female gives birth and teaches the cubs or the baby birds to fly, or feeds them and takes care of them, all that. And then there's other breeds of animals that don't even, they're called, what do you call it? A parasite, basically. It's because they'll lay their egg in a nest of another bird. It's not even the same breed, and it is made to hatch sooner than the other eggs. Okay, so let's say this bird's eggs hatch in 20 days. Well, this one will hatch in 18. So after 2 days, that egg hatches, or whatever, after 2 days earlier than the others, and it pushes the other eggs out. Once it hatches, it's just the natural thing to push the eggs out. So it will be getting all the attention from the birds. So it's just really interesting how we're different. Humans are different, but we are the same when it comes to a lot of the animal instincts that we have, because we want to win. We want to be the top. You want to be the very best of whatever it is, at least most of the time. I think that we're slowly breeding that out. Just like I said about my chickens, it's hardly any hens anymore when you go and you buy them that want to sit on eggs. They just want to lay eggs every day and eat, and that's it. It's not very common anymore that lots of different breeds of chickens, especially the larger breeds, even sit on eggs, because it's bred out of them. They incubate everything in incubators. So You know, it's the same thing with anything. If you don't do anything over time, you just quit doing those things. Those things just are not something that, you know, the human race needs to survive. So it just doesn't do it anymore. Just like if you take people and you put them in caves over time, like that movie, what was the name of that movie about the dwellers or something like that? And it was humans that had gotten trapped in there. And over the century, over like 50 years, 60 years, the different kids and stuff that were born are now have big giant eyes like a bat, so they can see well in the dark. So it's just like some fish that got trapped in a cave and now they're all white and they're blind. They don't need to see. We evolve for our environments depending on where we live. You either have brown eyes or blue eyes or pale skin or red hair, depending on where your origins are from, to fit where you grew up, but now it's different because we travel everywhere. So we're having like a really mixed up thing, because you have people that were never meant to be in the desert, that came from Ireland or used to cold. Now they got redheaded women with freckles, and they're slowly evolving to where they're getting darker tans and less freckles, things like that. So it's just interesting how all that stuff evolves. But we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, we won't, because we won't be around, but our ancestors will, to see what we end up looking like, whether we're going to end up just all having tans, darker skin and brown eyes, and everybody have dark hair, depending on whether our planet really is heating up, So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see.
So next week we're going to be watching. Actually, let me ask you before I do that. Anybody else have a rating they want to give this movie?
Yeah, what's your rating? You didn't give your rating yet either, because I already said what mine was.
Yeah, yours was a 70 to 75, and Crafting Gamer gave it 70 out of 75. I'm actually going to rate this movie 4 out of 5 stars, 80% easy. This is a fantastic film that I've watched it like 4 times in the last 6 months. It's one of those films that I get into and I watch. I could be painting miniatures, I could be playing a board game. I'll stop and I'll watch this movie. It's one of those few movies that I see and I don't see a problem with it. I think it's got, for the effort that they were able to pull out in budget, they were able to maximize and almost go double on the product that came out of it. The matte paintings really help sell it. The music is fantastic. I've listened to the music score a couple times at night, although I shouldn't do that when I'm at work because that kind of makes you sleepy. Some of the music is not exactly the peppiest stuff. Yeah. But there's some other stuff that's really good and it's suspenseful because it is a horror sci-fi movie and has the standard-esque Aliens and Predator style sound to it. This is a very rich film for what little we get and for the vague stuff that's placed in there where your brain starts to fill in the gaps. I think this movie succeeds so hard where other films cannot stand. After 2 or 3 years, they look like shit. There was a movie that Netflix released 4 months ago called Damsel, and I would recommend everybody stay away from it because it's not.
Is it a cartoon?
Yeah, live action. Not a young girl that gets carried off by a dragon, and the dragon effects are the only thing. The fire is the only thing in that movie that looks somewhat decent. The dragon looks kind of janky. It's got the lady who smokes all the cigarettes for the Expanse TV show, the Iranian actress.
Oh yeah. She's a president or something, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's president in the Expanse, but in this show, she's the dragon, the voice of the dragon, and she does a pretty good job. She's like the only bright spot actress in it. But the script is shit. The performances are shit. The fire effects look like napalm coming out of the dragon's mouth. And it was really well done.
What movie is this you're talking about?
It's called Damsel.
It's a live movie, though. It's got a real woman that's like been was going to be sacrificed, and she ends up getting away and fighting the dragon. Is that it?
She eventually fights the dragon, and then she befriends it, and it's such a garbage fucking movie. I can't really speak about this movie in any positive light, except for maybe one nickel out of $1 they used right for the fire effects, and that was it.
Well, if that's the movie that I'm thinking about, then I thought it was pretty good. I thought there was a lot of really cool scenes in that, and the actress that played the one that was fighting the dragon, I thought she did a really good job, for the parts that she was in. Now, it was a little fantastical about how she was able to kick so much ass, where'd she learn how to do some of the shit that she did, that kind of stuff. It was a little bit unbelievable, even though it was a fantasy. You know what I mean? You still want some reality in it to make it to where you don't go, oh, that's so stupid. It pulls you out of the movie. And any movie that takes you away from the movie because it's got something that's so far-fetched, even in a fantasy, you just go, it just takes you out of the character. You just fall out of it. And I don't like that. And that's one thing about the movie we just watched that I said for the whole movie, I was enthralled with it because I was constantly trying to figure out who's a robot, who isn't, where's it going, why are they going there, and who's behind all these robots being able to do this to themselves, build themselves, and what are they going to get out of it? I was, constantly thinking all those things. So I stayed involved in the movie through the whole thing, and the acting was really good. So they were very believable. So the characters themselves didn't take you out of the movie, and the scenes, just like you said, the beautiful scenery. Not that it was gorgeous like tropical or anything, but it was real. Look, you know what I mean? It was like really cold. It made you look like or feel that they were freezing. There was freezing cold out there because it looked like real snow and real ice and real mud, all those things. It's probably because it was real. But that, to me, it makes it more authentic. And I thought all that was top notch. I thought they did a really good job in all of that, whoever they got to be in charge of those different aspects of the movie. But it was believable.
Like I said, I give it an 80%. I think this is an easy 4 out of 5 stars, and I'll continue to watch this movie. I'll be watching the sequel here later on this week because I've watched part of it and I needed to sleep, so I'll probably watch the rest of it either tomorrow or Tuesday, depending on what happens. Next week, swing by again. We will be doing a movie that Janet has not seen, which that could be the new title of the series. Janet has not seen. It's called A History of Violence, and it has Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, I really like him.
Maria Bello plays the female lead, and it's directed by David Cronenberg. So if you guys like David Cronenberg, you should.
Now, what is it? What is it? Is it action, drama, or what?
It's drama and suspense. Lots of suspense. It will keep you kind of guessing a little bit. It's visceral when it does get bloody, but it's not a movie about being bloody. It's really a movie that just fucking it comes out and you learn about this character, and the entire movie kind of knocks you to the side because it doesn't really care about your feelings. It's a very unconventional film. It's a David Cronenberg movie. So if you are familiar with him, not just go in the theater and sit down and enjoy the popcorn, watch the film, and as it starts, just be open to possibilities because this movie doesn't go in conventional directions. It's not a Disney film. It's not a product film. This is a movie that's almost treating itself, and it treats itself like a work of art, and it treats the audience like they're intelligent, but it expects you with your intelligence to be able to put 2 and 2 together yourself without having to have a blackboard.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about getting to watch it because I think it'd be fun because I love watching something I haven't seen before.
For our friends.
Because this one was better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. That really makes me happy because I was expecting you to rip it apart like you did in Midnight Meat Train and some other
No,
films.
because this one wasn't easy to rip apart. Just like I said, the only thing really was the spaceship at the end to me that would a young person today watching it, a young, like I'd say like 13 to 17, if they were watching this movie, I don't think there's that much, even with the CGI or the special effects, to where it couldn't be out right now as a B-rate movie. You know what I mean? They'll say it's B-rate, even though it kind of is a B-rate movie with the script and the story and everything. But the special effects, the only thing I saw that made me go, oh, that's kind of hokey, was the spaceship at the very, very ending. The lasers to me weren't even that bad. I've seen way worse on TV shows and stuff. So to me, I don't even think that took me out to be not, to be too stupid or whatever. It's a bad effect. I didn't think it was that bad. Even though you kind of acted like it was, I didn't think it was as bad as you thought.
So. There's some parts of this movie that age really, really, really well. The ending rocket sequence, like I said, looks like a PS1 or PS2 CGI ending game. And
that was the only thing I thought. That was.
If that's the worst part about this movie, that's fine. The lasers aren't to my liking. That they make a gun disappear. They have one guy dissolve when he hits a laser. That's about it. There is a movie that's a cult classic called Cube. And there's a really neat sequence where one guy gets diced up, and they use a third of the budget for that scene alone, and it was pretty impressive. But we'll have to watch that in the future and have Janet and
I've seen Cube.
Okay, we'll have to give a professional response to that movie, because I think that's a fun movie to watch. That's a good suspense film.
But I still want you to add that other movie we were talking about, Caveman movie.
Caveman?
Yeah, remember we said with Dennis Quaid?
Yeah.
And what was it? Ringo Starr?
Barbara Buck, Ringo Starr, John McClane.
I think that'd be a fun comedy for us to watch. And you can dress up as a caveman.
I already dress up as a caveman. You just don't see it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Caveman, that's August 4th.
You already have it on the list? Okay.
Yep, August 4th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is September 22nd. The two In Search of Tomorrows is September 8th and September 15th. August 11th is The City of Lost Children. I have not seen that yet.
Yeah.
The 28th of July, General's Daughter. Next week is A History of Violence. October 6th is we're doing it with Mikey with Ghostbusters Afterlife. And then the Witch next week on October 13th. And that's
see, that's you can tell. I think everybody's going to be able to tell by looking at which movies I chose on the list. But
actually, a lot of this is just suggestions, which is of Eastwick, Ghostbusters Afterlife, because I didn't enjoy that movie. I'll be happy to discuss it for an hour. Although with Mikey around, I'll get about 5 minutes of voice, and it'll be you and him, because you guys.
I liked it. I thought Afterlife was good.
Okay, I just I could go without. I didn't like the granddaughter.
Yeah, I know.
A 16-year-old kid, I don't give a shit if you read books and you think you're smart. You're 16 and you don't have the ability to do the resources and have your practical theory tested out to where whenever you get to do something for the first time, it comes out fucking like butter. No, it just doesn't fucking happen like that. And that's my biggest problem with that movie. It tries to treat her like she's a super fucking okay, we're gonna get you chromosome Y people back for dogging on Ghostbusters 2016 with this little irritating granddaughter. And that's what the movie felt like to me. It was like a slap in the face, like, oh, well, we got all the surviving ghosts around, and we got the image of of Egon here as a ghost. It's a interesting film, but it's not a film. I'm only doing it because we're being urged to do it. I'm not going to watch that movie and expect to enjoy it, because I didn't enjoy it the first time. I probably will be painting figures the whole time.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it. So it's okay.
That's cool.
I love the fact that they got almost all the original people.
Yeah, if they would have, and I'm not saying I want to see
me, that is, I give that 2 stars just because they did that. Because you don't see that it's very, very rare they're able to do that. And the fact that they did that in honor of one of their people that had died, I just thought was great. So to me, that's kudos.
I don't want I don't want the stars of the movie of the franchise to be shoved to the side violently by some poorly written Mary Sue. Like it's
See, I didn't see
fucking
it like
riot.
that at all.
I did, and
Well,
I just
and that's good. I'm glad that you're going to get to voice your opinion about it because, I'm sure other people feel the same way.
there we'll be able to discuss that in October, and there is room for other films to be put into the schedule as well. So if you, I don't ever ask for super chats. I really
Did you
don't
put
want.
my other movie on there,
Which one?
Jaws? Because of all the shark attacks that we've had this year, I thought
we
Jaws.
had a good selection of shark attacks that came out.
Yeah.
I do have to admit.
Yeah, it's really shocking. So, but it's a classic movie. I'd like to put that on.
August 18th. Are you going to be here?
I don't know. Let me look real quick. Get my calendar out.
If she's
I
gonna be here on
leave.
the 18th, we're doing Jaws on the 18th.
Yeah.
18th
I
of August.
leave on the 18th. Yeah, we can do it on that week. That's the weekend before the weekend I leave. So the 18th is going to have Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Can I write it down on my calendar? So I bought me a desk calendar so I can start trying to write stuff down and remember it.
I kind of want to discuss the Jaws sequels as well.
Okay, that's fine. We can.
We'll watch the first movie, but we can discuss the sequels because I think there's no redeeming. I would rather talk about a sci-fi shark movie, a sci-fi channel shark movie, than any of the Jaws 2, 3, or 4 movies. Because those sci-fi channel movies have more discussion capacity than watching Jaws 2, 3, or 4. Even though 3 has Michael Caine in it, and Michael Caine has the greatest quote for Jaws 3. I've never seen the movie Jaws 3, but I've seen the house that it bought me, and it is splendid. And I love that. He understood that was probably going to be a shit movie. But he never tried to lie to himself about it. There's other movies that are out there that people try to tell you, like the Cabbage Patch movie, the Cabbage Patch Kids movie was a fucking work of art. What's your problem, Bruce? Are you a sexist, racist, pig, homophobe? You know, they try to say shit like that. Like, how dare you don't like Michael Moore? I mean, he talked about the union problem in Detroit. No, I'm good. Let me just go masturbate with sandpaper. That way, I can say that you made me go through pain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a little bit too extreme. I think the sandpaper part.
No, you'll get the job finished. But anyway, it won't be pleasant. But you can.
Yeah, but then you'll be covered with scar tissue. It makes it harder next time to achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
But I really did. I was really impressed with this movie. I thought it would be more B-rate-ish for some reason, but I was, logged in as soon as I got into it and started, paying attention to it. I was like going, this is pretty good. And then I would say I was like, don't trust robots, because that's what's going to happen is you're going to get sucked into something. And then I spent half the movie trying to figure out who was a robot and who wasn't, and if there were any humans, were any of them human at all, that type of stuff. So I thought it was really good. I thought it was a pretty good movie considering I'd never heard of it before, so I enjoyed it.
People don't understand. Like I really appreciate Peter Weller, and there's other really good actors that are out there that they do a fantastic job. Even if they realize the movie might not be a work of art, they'll still go out there and do what they can to make it worthwhile. Luke Perry and the late Donald Sutherland knew that Buffy the Vampire Slayer would probably not be a Shakespearean experience, but they still sold people on the movie. Even though Donald Sutherland hated talking about the movie, when people asked him what are you working on now, he would write it down. He wouldn't say what he's working on. He'd write it down and show you the note, and then he'd crumple it up. but he fucking sold it when he went on set. He was in character. He was going to be that mentor that Buffy needed. And Luke Perry played the ideal boyfriend for a tough boss babe, badass girl for a crappy 90s movie. And that was a
Yeah.
very fun 90s movie. And it was even funnier that they turned it into a series on television that lasted 7 years.
You see, I never saw the movie, but I did watch some episodes.
Wait, you never saw the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
And I started watching because one of my sisters was watching it, and they said, "Well, I can't believe you aren't watching this series." And I'm like, "Why would I watch it?" She goes, "Because it's about vampires." And I go, "Yeah, but it's like, you know, I don't know. I didn't know if I'd like it or not." But then when I started watching it, and the actor that played Angel, I really liked. So when they came out with other shows, I started watching some of the other shows they were in because I liked that actor.
Did you ever see it? Before we wrap this up, did you ever see the 1984 classic? And I know we're going back to 84. I love 1984 and 1994 for movies. Those are my two peak years American cinema. But Buckaroo Banzai, did you ever see that? The Adventures of Banzai?
I don't know. Would I remember if I seen it? I probably had seen it then.
He's an adventurer, brain surgeon, rock musician, Buckaroo Banzai, and his crime-fighting team, the Hong Kong Cavaliers. They have to stop alien invaders from the 8th dimension who are planning to conquer Earth. Very cheesy movie, lots of cheddar. All the cheddar you could ever want, Janet. And
what other movies came out when that one did?
Ooh, hold up.
Because you got to remember, I didn't have a lot of money. Okay.
Well, the movies,
and when you're young and you don't have very much money, you have to be picky when you go to the movies. So that's all I want to know what else was out.
Today is the 40th anniversary, or yesterday's 40th anniversary of the debut of The Last Starfighter. So that was the year in 84. You had Buckaroo Banzai, The Last Starfighter, Ghostbusters, Karate Kid. These are movies off the top of my head. I'm not reading off a script or off any of.
That's a lot of good movies. So I know I saw Karate Kid, and I know I saw Ghostbusters for sure. But I didn't know what year it was. I just remember going to see it and loving them. So, you know,
it's an interesting film. We'll have to watch it at some point. It was supposed to be released in June of '84, from what Wikipedia says. It had to be pushed back to August 10th because you had Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, which also had Christopher Lloyd in it. Both movies had that, and Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, along with Ghostbusters. And
wow, they all came out in '84.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How much money did the movie places make with that many hits movies coming out? I mean,
84 was a big dick energy movie year. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like they made millions and millions of dollars for all those different movie companies for sure. I mean, they're hurting now. There's no way at 1 year would have that many hits right now.
Okay, we've lost Canon Films. We don't have small production houses that maximize their dollar. We have bloated government entities disguised as entertainment ventures like Disney.
For sure.
and we have all these crappy films. So the top grossing films for 84, I'll just go through the first 20. Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Gremlins, The Karate Kid, Police Academy, Footloose, Romancing the Stone. Number 9 for that year was Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. We almost made it to the normies. Splash. And then you had other movies like Against All Odds, Repo Man, which had Harry Dean Stanton, Olivia Barash, Bogana McGee. You had This Is Spinal Tap came out that year, which that's one of my favorite fucking satire movies. And that's in a very, very special segment of movies I enjoy watching, along with Best in Show. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but that's a really bad movie. That's one of
No,
my favorite
I
bad
don't remember
movies.
seeing that one.
It's a Best in Show is about the satire of these idiots that are in the dog pageant world. The
Yeah, I haven't
dog.
seen it. But most of those movies you said out, I remember watching them at home for sure on whatever it was, if it was a VHS or if it was on a DVD
Here's
or whatever.
the releases for March
Hmm.
of '84. Against All Odds, Harry and Son, Repo Man, Sahara, with James R. Syke as writing the screenplay, and Brooke Shields and Lambert Wilson. That's good.
Hmm.
Then we had This Is Spinal Tap by Rob Reiner, and this is all released on the 2nd of March.
Hmm.
You also have Children of the Corn, Hotel New Hampshire, Mike's Murder, Pete's Dragon, and Splash released on the 9th.
Wow.
Then on the 16th, here's the slow week for movies in the year 1984. You had one movie come out. It was called Tank with James Garner. Great movie.
Hmm.
Then on
I
the
don't think I've
23rd,
seen that one. But I remember my mom, I'm sure my mom went and saw it because my mom loved James Garner movies. And I remember that was the first time I got to see that movie, Victor Victoria. I don't remember when that came out, but I remember watching it at home with my mom because she would, her and my grandma would watch all these old movies, you know. And my mom also watched, different TV series that she really liked. So we just watched whatever they were watching because it was, we weren't allowed to fight over TV shows and stuff.
April 13th of '84, Iceman came out, which is a movie I rented on
Iceman.
DVD and VHS numerous times.
Why does that sound familiar? Who's an Iceman?
Iceman is in. You got John Drimmer as a script writer, along with Fred Schlepsy as director. Timothy Hutton, Lindsay Crouse, John Lone, Joseph Summer, David Starahan, and Philip Aiken, along with Danny Glover, Amelia Hall, and James Tolkien.
Never seen it.
That's a good movie. You have 16 Candles, which came out in the month of May, on May 4th.
Mm-hmm.
You have V, Final Battle, which debuted on BBC the 6th of May.
Wasn't that a TV series?
It was, but it had Michael Ironside, Mark Singer, and Faye Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you say no to those three? Plus, you have Badler, the ultimate bitch boss. I mean, fuck. 1984 is such a big dick energy film year. And I think we even had a small series of films where I nominated only films from 84 at the time because
Mm-hmm.
those were such good films. 84, 95, 94 was good. 89, and I mean, everybody's going to say, like, oh, you got to do 83, you got to do 87. We'll get to
Well,
those.
the thing is, it to me, when you were reading all those movies out, it sounds to me like the different MGM and whoever other big Columbia,
Metro
all those different groups competed with each other to have the best movies to put out. Back when they had competition is why the movies were good. You know what I mean? Today, they don't have to compete against anyone because either you watch their movies or you don't. They don't give a shit. So that's why we don't have, 20 good movies coming out every year. We have one maybe every couple of years now. That's it, which is terrible because that's why people are turning to YouTube and other apps for entertainment because the big theater or big companies are not putting good movies out anymore. They're not competing for each other's money. It's because we bail them out, I guess, or something. I don't know what it is, but I wish we had competition. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, man, when you said that, I was like, holy shit. Why don't they do that anymore? Why don't we get a good quality products anymore? They don't have to make good stuff to compete with each other anymore. It's just whatever stupid shit they can put out. There's people to eat it. We're starving for entertainment. Pitiful.
Okay, so with me running out of steam for a second, I guess that would be a good time for us to cut this because we were at 2 hours and 30 minutes for this
Yeah.
show.
Okay.
We hope that you guys enjoyed yourselves while you were here. For all of you that were in, the moderators, Six Nation 31 Kings,
Yeah.
Becky Blue, Sort of Poopus Cuber, Baby Girl, all of you people that showed up and joined us in the chats. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Crafting Gamer, for being a member for 9 months. Didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. If you guys like what you see here, you like what me and Janet have to say, go to our 2 channels, like, subscribe, share, give a comment. It helps out the algorithm. And if you can find us on Rumble or X and you like us better over there, go ahead and follow us there too, because at some point YouTube will get tired of my mouth because I will say something that some fat fucking blue hair doesn't like. And I don't really give a shit. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. You all, Janet, you want to walk us out of here?
Well, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for stopping in, hanging out with us for a little while. If you hadn't seen the movie Screamers, which every time he said it, I was thinking he was saying Scanners or something because I'd never heard of it before. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It wasn't too bad. If you like sci-fi horror, because that's what I would call it, because there's quite a few scary moments in it where some bad things happen in it, but the acting is really, really good. Who doesn't like Peter Weller? And the special effects are pretty good. I mean, they're top notch, I guess, for the time. And the scenery is wonderful. It's very entertaining. I enjoyed the whole thing. There's lots of twists and turns, a lot of action. A couple corny lines, like what was the one line I said? I repeated and I said it wrong. I like to drink and I like to fuck and I bleed, or something like that. I thought it was pretty good. So because she's a robot, but she's believable. She can suck you right in because she's good looking, whatever. But it's a good movie. It's pretty good if you like sci-fi. So I just recommend that you watch it. It was a pleasant surprise for me because I hadn't seen it before. So thank you, Bruce, or whoever it was that suggested that we watch it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
You guys have a great Sunday.